So you've got the vision, you're building the future. But here's the real question. Are you building wealth that you'll actually get to keep? This is all about how to protect your ownership. Because let's face it, the goal isn't just to build something amazing, it's to own it. You know this feeling, right? It's something way too many founders go through. It's that slow, sinking realization that after all the fundraising rounds, all the deals, the control you once had has just slipped right through your fingers. This is the gut punch. This is why protecting your equity is so incredibly important. And this really captures the fundamental dilemma, doesn't it? You start out with this pure mission. You're laser focused on solving a problem. But the second that outside money comes into the picture, a totally new game starts. And that game can get you tangled up and disconnected from the very company you poured your heart and soul into. So how does this actually happen? Well, it's almost never some big, dramatic event. Instead, losing your equity is more like a game of inches, a series of quiet, little traps that slowly but surely erode your stake over time. So let's break down what those traps are. And this right here is the key thing to get. Losing your ownership isn't just bad luck. It's what happens when you're not paying close attention, when you don't treat your equity with the same fierce, obsessive protection you give your actual product. So you can basically break it down into three main leaks. First up, all those small decisions that don't seem like a big deal at the time, like giving away a little too much equity to an early advisor. Second, raising money from a position of weakness, before you've built a real competitive advantage, that moat around your business. And third, just poor tracking. You don't see the cumulative damage each deal does, slowly shrinking your piece of the pie. That, my friends, is dilution in action. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? Just look at how fast a founder's stake can plummet. You start day one with 100% of the pie. It's all yours. But then, after a co-founder and a pre-seed round, boom, you're already under 50%. By the time you hit Series A, you can easily be a minority owner in your own company. And this isn't some rare or worst-case scenario. For a lot of founders, this is the standard path. All right, so we've seen how it slips away, but why should protecting it be like your number one priority? Because the real value of what you're fighting for is so much more than just a number on a cap table. Okay, first and foremost, your equity. That's your voice. Ownership equals decision-making power. The more equity you hold, the more you get to steer the ship and keep the mission on track. The less you own, the more you start to feel like just another employee, no matter what your title is. It's really about keeping your hands on the wheel. And I mean, let's be real for a second. You're taking on massive risk. You're putting in years of absolutely tireless work. Your equity is the rightful reward for all that sacrifice. And way too many founders get to a huge, successful exit only to find out their personal payout is surprisingly small, all because their ownership got diluted to almost nothing along the way. And last but definitely not least, having a clean and healthy cap table, which is just the official record of who owns what, that gives you so much leverage. It makes you way more attractive to future investors. It gives you the room you need to bring in top-tier talent with stock options. And honestly, it just signals that you're a sharp leader who knows how to manage resources. Okay, so we get it. The stakes are high. So now for the good stuff, the actual playbook. Let's dive into the specific, actionable things you can start doing today to defend your ownership. Think of this as your defensive toolkit. It all starts with planning ahead, actually mapping out your equity budget. It means raising just enough cash to hit your next big milestone, not just grabbing the biggest check someone dangles in front of you. And this one's huge. Treat advisory equity like it's gold. Because a big name on a slide deck is almost never worth 1% of your entire company. And this slide really just nails the difference a little prep work can make. When you go out to raise from a position of weakness, no protected IP, no clear advantage, you get stuck with low valuations and you give away a ton of your company. But when you build that leverage first by doing things like filing patents, you command way better terms. You give up less equity for more capital. It literally flips the whole power dynamic right back in your favor. Look, at the end of the day, all these little tactics, they're all part of a much bigger mindset. It's about adopting a long-term ownership mentality from the very first day. It's about making choices today that the future version of you is going to thank you for. Here's a really powerful way to frame this for yourself. Make every decision as if you're going to be the last founder standing years from now, after co-founders have left and investors have moved on.
Are the choices you're making right now going to help that future version of you have control and a meaningful payday? Adopting that long-term view changes everything.
Right, so the whole point is to build as much value as you can without giving away slices of the company. That's where a cool concept like seed strapping comes in. It's all about using strategic help that doesn't dilute you, like getting professional services to file your patents, to make your company stronger before you ever ask for a check. It makes sure you're negotiating from a position of strength, not desperation.
So, after all this, it really just boils down to one simple question. Are you building a company, or are you just building a line item on someone else's cap table? Your equity is your power. It's your voice. It's your reward. You have to protect it. You have to be deliberate. Because trust me, if you don't, nobody else is going to do it for you.